This is the Uptick Newswire Stock Day podcast, sponsored by InvestorsHangout.com and Equities.com. Subscribe to us on iTunes and YouTube to stay up to date on penny stock news and interviews, public information on OTC, pink sheets, and microcap stocks from around the world. With your host, Everett Jolly.
On today's show, I'm bringing you a brand new company that my team discovered about a month and a half ago. We're talking about Innovest Global Inc. They trade on the OTC markets. You can find them under the ticker symbol IVST, trading at around 40 cents a share, market cap around $57 million. And with us today is the president. We're very lucky to have him on the show today, Mr. Damon Mintz. Damon, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Everett. Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to it.
Give my listeners and myself a little bit of about statement, who you guys are, how you make your money, and then I want to get into the Q&A.
Sure, absolutely. So Innovest Global, we are what's called a diversified conglomerate company. And that simply means that we acquire companies from a diversified standpoint. So we're not singular in our industry. We represent several different industries: commercial, industrial, construction, building materials, biotechnology, and now our new consumer division. So our goal is to identify, acquire, and then most importantly, help the companies that we own grow and reach their fullest potential. By doing that, we add value to our shareholders through revenue, earnings, assets, the good old-fashioned way of doing business. But we also provide that risk mitigation factor where by being diversified into multiple industries, if there is a downturn in any one, our company is not affected like companies in that industry if they're singular, but rather we can mitigate the risk in the investment side because of our diversification.
Well, Damon, tell me this. On January 1st, 2018, your company, Shepherd Energy Solutions, had just been acquired by Innovest Global, and a year later, on January 1st, 2019, you had become the president of Innovest Global. What is the journey like, and where do we go from here?
Yeah, I appreciate that question. I cannot believe everything that happened for us was in 1 year. There's times it feels like it was about a 5-year journey, in a good way, but a lot happened in 2018. So the first thing I have to say is the CEO and founder of our company, Dan Martin, is somebody I've known for quite some time. So I wasn't a stranger to the Innovest business. Dan is one of the most brilliant financial leadership minds I've ever known. We've had the privilege of doing some business together in the past. So I knew when he approached me about Innovest and about my company, I knew that there was a great opportunity here. And so we were acquired. We closed that transaction January of 18. And the first thing I asked Dan is I said, hey, so what is the Innovest Global job? Like what should I be focusing on now that we're a part of the Innovest family of companies? And his answer was very simple. We focus every day on whatever increases our shareholder value. And so I said, well, give me some examples, and we talked through acquisition. So I immediately took on a role very early on in 18 to help Innovest acquire companies in my space. So I immediately turned around and we acquired HP Technologies, which is another energy company we own, and that helped grow the energy business. Dan said, hey, what do you think about kind of taking over the division you're in? And our energy group is inside the commercial industrial division. I said, hey, no problem. We can do that. So I was running my company, also leading, and then I led the next acquisition, which was our call center, Contact Source Solutions. Long story short, the role just kept kind of broadening into other divisions, and by the end of 2018, I had led our acquisitions across all divisions and was working hand in hand with all those companies. And so Dan came to me, and what was a great privilege and an honor, and said, listen, you've done the job. You took us from a company that had one company with a little bit of revenue to a company now with 7 operating companies, a run rate now of $40 million a year. What do you think about being the president of the company as a whole? I had to talk to my wife. We have 6 kids. That's a big job, a big difference there. But in a unanimous way, we were excited and accepted that role. And so now, we look forward from there. The job doesn't really change in terms of what we do every day, which is building shareholder value. But certainly the size we are today versus 12 months ago changes some of the dynamics of how we do that.
Your market cap's grown over 4,000%. That being said, that puts a lot of challenges on the face of your company. How do you guys go from here and manage all the moving parts?
Yeah, so our philosophy of business, and this is something I've been blessed to learn, be a part of, and then lead in my career, is that I believe that great people make great companies. So whenever we're confronted with a challenge, whether it's growth or anything, the first and foremost thing we look at to solve or to handle that challenge is our people. At Innovest here, we have been incredibly blessed to attract and have some of the greatest people I've ever worked with taking initiatives on. In 18, we grew fast, as you know, and 4,000% is a lot. And so it was a tremendous load on our people, but they stepped up, they got it done. We've been able to add, we're growing every day. I used this analogy the other day when someone asked me, we just had a Super Bowl, right? And the Patriots won, whether you hate them or love them. But it's like kind of adding key players in the middle of a Super Bowl run. It's hard, right? You've got so much going on, you're going so fast, and you've got to integrate it. And that's just really a testament to the quality of those people that came in as we were growing that fast and were able to get it done. So, the challenge was staying with the growth. We don't want to be a different company at a $50 million market cap than we were at $1.5 million. We want to be the same company, just at a larger scale. It was a challenge, no doubt, but we were able to get it done, and we're now really, really poised for a great 19 based on all the people, really, the great leadership and talents of our folks that came to the table in 18.
Company that we're highlighting today here on Stock Day is Innovest Global Inc. You can find them on the OTC markets under the ticker symbol IVST. You've been listening to the president of the company, Mr. Damon Mintz. Let me ask you this. What would you have done different looking back through making all these different transactions?
It's a great question. I think it's something you have to do in business every day, is you have to be willing to look back to move forward on what you would have done. And I mentioned that people obviously were our greatest asset here, but also the greatest challenge on the load on them. As we look back on that challenge and some of the things that we had to deal with, we were, as a company, starting out in 2018, we were scattered amongst all of our different holdings and the parent company. So a lot of what we did from different locations all over the area. In October of 18, we consolidated our team to a world headquarters. We brought in a lot of our initial acquisitions that were non-manufacturing or warehouse-based, our executive team, looking at the amount of productivity that we have had and improved on from October through now. The biggest thing we would have done different is I would have made that move early in 18 and said, we've got to get everybody together. The collaborative approach, the workload that we had definitely would have been a lot easier had we had been under one roof at an earlier time in the year. So that was the one thing now looking back, the value of having people together, a team in one room when you need to get them together to fix an issue or launch a new initiative. We're just seeing so much improved efficiency here at our new headquarters.
And what do you think your focus will be for the first and second quarter, you being the president of the company?
Yeah, so my role is what it always will be, which is drive the growth of the company. The biggest difference now in 19 from 18 was we started with virtually nothing. So our growth was through acquisition primarily only last year. Now as we look out with the 7 companies that we own, with the tremendous potential they have to grow, we just put out our guidance in our annual letter with 20% growth of our existing holdings. Now my role is really divided by identifying new acquisition targets. We've announced publicly, as you probably have seen, our intention to enter into the automotive dealer space through the Innovest Auto Group. So we've got both, targets on acquisitions in that space. We've got some other acquisition targets we're looking at within our other divisions. But now it's really also about looking at what we own today and how can we make those companies better? How do we grow them? How do we help people? We've got now close to 100 employees within the Innovest family of companies. That's a big responsibility to make sure that we're providing those folks everything they need to win. The last thing that I'll touch on our plans is establishing what we call our shared services department. And that is that idea that, what can we provide in terms of back-end support to our companies to keep our leaders really focused on driving growth and new opportunities versus sitting at their desk crunching numbers and spreadsheets and all the things that we can help take that burden off. So we're implementing our new shared services to be able to provide a lot of back-end function for our companies and giving them more and more freedom to get out there and grow and find new ways to do new things in their business.
Damon, in closing, what would you want my listeners to take away from this interview?
The biggest thing I would say about what we're doing here at Innovest Global and why we obviously love folks that are a part of our company, our shareholders, is that we are one of those companies that it's not going to be difficult to understand why we are who we are. We're building our company not on, all of the hype or things that you can't put your finger on. We're buying good companies. We're getting great people on board. We're helping grow those companies, and we're building a solid company for long-term value to investors and shareholders, and obviously welcome folks of that mindset to take a look at Innovest Global, watch us, see what we've done. Last year was not, 1 year. We plan on having a great success on an ongoing basis because we're doing things right. We're valuing our people. We're looking at good companies, and we're building business the right way.
My guest today is Damon Mintz. He is the president of Innovest Global Inc. You can find him on the OTC markets under the ticker symbol IVST. Take a look at him at 40 cents a share, market cap around $57 million. Damon, I want to thank you for stopping by, coming on the show today. You can always come back on my show. Hopefully you'll give me an update in 40 or 50 days and let me know what's going on.
Thanks, Everett, for having me. I appreciate it, and I definitely will get back to you again.
This program is entirely sponsored and produced by Uptick Newswire, LLC, which is responsible for the content. The opinions and information provided on this program are those of the guests and those of the respective companies they represent, and do not necessarily reflect those of the staff or management of Uptick Newswire. Uptick Newswire encourages all listeners of this program to do their due diligence and research when determining investment strategies that will work for them, or to seek the assistance of an investment professional. The guests of this program may have paid for its distribution and are not directly affiliated with Uptick Newswire or this station.